Do you think that Alexis Arensman should be alive today?
Yes, I think that she should.
Did the system fail this child?
I think the system failed.
On a cold, snowy February day in 2015,
my daughter, we just broke up and my daughter's not breathing.
3-year-old Alexis Arensman took her final breath in this home in the Silver Lakes neighborhood of Clarksville.
Please, come on. Come on, Lexi, baby, look at mommy.
Cynthia Wigleb on this call with 911 telling authorities she didn't know what happened to her daughter. The coroner says Alexis died of battered child syndrome. A little life gone, but some say this death could and should have been prevented.
I think that the legislature ought to take a very serious look at our statutes on parental rights.
The I-Team obtained these documents from the Indiana Department of Child Services. They reveal why Alexis was removed from her parents when she was a baby, what happened in the years before her death, and how she ended up with her mom again. It took the I-Team months to get these 1,700 pages of documents in Alexis's case. These documents weigh almost as much as she did. Clark County Prosecutor Jeremy Mole says it's one of the most documented child abuse cases he's ever seen. Mole filed charges against Wigleb and her boyfriend Joseph Mansky, holding them responsible for Alexis's death. This isn't the first time that Wigleb has been charged in connection to a child abuse case. Wigleb pled guilty to battery in 2011. Court documents show that she admitted to shaking Alexis' sister when she was an infant. She had fractured ribs and a fractured leg. These new documents reveal Alexis was removed from her parents when she was a baby because Wigleb was living with someone who was accused of sexually abusing a child. Then Child Services became involved again when there was a substantiated case of abuse in 2013 against Alexis' father, though he denies ever hurting the child. In 2014, Child Services looked at Alexis again after she had bruises on her body. Her mother said, though, she hurt herself. Those claims were unsubstantiated. During the years, Alexis and her sister had lived with a foster family.
It caused me a lot of grief just seeing that whole process of the girls being in a loving home with their foster parent and then removed.
So how did Alexis and her sister end up back with their mother? The answer starts with the Indiana Department of Child Services. I'm at the Department of Child Services in Indianapolis trying to get some answers about Alexis' case.
I know a lot of the viewers don't understand their reunification as the number one option. But again, we must make every reasonable effort, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes a family just does not want to do what they need to do to reunify.
What do you say to the public who has a hard time understanding why kids are allowed to go back into homes where they were unsafe before?
Yeah, it's not an exact science, child welfare isn't.
Those with DCS opened up their doors to me. They wouldn't talk about Alexis's case specifically, but say by federal law, they have to work towards placing kids back in the home with their parents.
But if you know there's been a history of abuse in the home, why is a child allowed to go back with that parent?
When the court decides that those issues have been mitigated, whatever they are, then if the judge decides to reunify the family, then that is the final decision.
Caseworkers and the courts come up with a plan for the family. Parents have to achieve certain goals, and when that happens, kids are often returned. In Alexis' case, these documents say her family had met all of their goals. Also, DCS couldn't factor in past abuse towards Alexis' sibling when deciding if Alexis should be reunited with her mother.
But if you know there's been danger in the home before, how can that be the best case scenario?
Well, again, if that's been mitigated, that if the services have been provided to that family, if they are done correctly and they've been received, then that is every reasonable conclusion from the judge, from all those service providers, that this is a safe place for that child again.
Do you believe the system is flawed?
I wouldn't say it's flawed. Now, there's always improvements, and that is one thing that we use our fatality report for, to look to see how we can educate the community.
According to the DCS Child Fatality Report from 2010 to 2013, 148 children have died from abuse or neglect. 24 of those had a prior history with DCS.
It's like anything, we can always have improvements, and we're going to continue to strive. Recent cases that we're aware of really draw our attention to the fact that we got to do better.
Indiana State Representative Steve Stemler has been working with lawmakers on these improvements. One, to get more funding for more caseworkers for DCS.
One of the things that we've really pushed hard is to get more funding into the DCS program, Department of Child Services program, for more caseworkers, more training. We feel that that's vitally important.
For prosecutor Jeremy Mole, Alexis's death still weighs on him. He does not want to see another case like hers.
Systems failure, absolutely, there was a systems failure here.
A little girl with a bright smile, gone forever.